Haejin Park stood alone among the stars, watching the alien fleet approach Earth. As the only human diplomat assigned to negotiate with the Varians, she felt the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. The Varians were a mysterious race who had conquered 12 systems before reaching Earth. They were known for their ability to share pain and emotions among their kind, a neural link that made them fearsome warriors and compassionate allies to one another. "You cannot understand our pain," said Dojin, the lead Varian ambassador, his blue skin shimmering under the station lights. "Your species lives in isolation within your own minds. You know nothing of true suffering." Haejin clenched her fists but kept her face neutral. She had spent years studying the Varians, learning their language, their customs, but they dismissed her efforts with contempt. The other human diplomats had failed and returned to Earth. Only she remained. "I may not share your neural connection," she replied, "but I am willing to learn." Dojin laughed, a sound like stones grinding together. "Learning is not experiencing. Your people wage war on each other because you cannot feel each other's agony. This makes you dangerous, unpredictable. We cannot allow such a species to spread through the galaxy." The ultimatum was clear. Earth would either submit to Varian rule or face destruction. They had given humanity 1 week to decide. As Haejin returned to her quarters, she received a message from Dr. Minji, Earth's leading neuroscientist. "I may have found a way," the message read, "but the risk to you would be extreme." Haejin didn't hesitate. She had lost her family in the first Varian attack. Earth was all she had left. "Whatever it takes," she replied, her fingers trembling as she sent the message across the void to Earth. That night, she dreamed of her childhood home in Busan, the sea breeze carrying the scent of her mother's cooking. When she woke, tears streaked her face. The Varians were right about one thing. Humans did suffer alone. But perhaps that was about to change. Dr. Minji's laboratory hummed with activity as Haejin was connected to various machines. Wires snaked across her scalp, monitoring her brain activity. The procedure they were attempting had never been tested on humans before. "The Varian neural network operates on frequencies we've only recently been able to detect," Dr. Minji explained, her eyes tired but determined. "This device will allow your brain to transmit and receive on those frequencies." Beside her stood Taehyun, the engineer who had designed the neural interface. "We've studied the Varian prisoners," he said quietly. "Their pain sharing isn't just emotional, it's physical too. If this works, you'll feel everything they feel." Haejin nodded. "And they'll feel what I feel." "That's what we're hoping," Dr. Minji replied. But Haejin, the human brain, wasn't designed for this. The sensory overload could be catastrophic. The word hung in the air between them. Catastrophic could mean insanity, brain damage, or death. But Earth's military forces were no match for the Varian fleet. Diplomacy was their only hope, and understanding was the key to diplomacy. "How long before the neural interface is stable?" Haejin asked. Taehyun checked his calculations. 48 hours. Just enough time for you to return to the station before the Varians demand our answer. As the neural transmitter was surgically implanted at the base of Haejin's skull, she thought about what it would mean to share the pain of an entire species. Would their collective suffering crush her, or would her individual human experience overwhelm them? The surgery was successful, but the real test would come when she faced the Varians again. As she recovered, strange dreams filled her mind. Alien landscapes and emotions she couldn't name. The interface was already changing her, connecting her to something vast and unknown. "Remember," Dr. Minji warned as Haejin prepared to leave, "don't activate the interface until you're certain it's necessary. We don't know the full extent of what it might do to you." Haejin touched the small bump at the base of her skull. "What if I can't control it?" Taehyun handed her a small device. "This emergency shutdown will deactivate the interface, but use it only as a last resort. The neural shock could be dangerous." As her shuttle departed for the space station, Haejin watched Earth grow smaller through the viewport. She might never see it again. But if she succeeded, it would survive. The Varian delegation waited in the station's conference room, their tall forms draped in shimmering robes that changed color with their emotions. Currently, they displayed shades of deep purple, impatience, and disdain. Dojin rose as Haijin entered. "You return alone. Has your species decided to surrender?" "We have decided to understand," Haijin replied, her hand unconsciously touching the base of her skull, where the neural interface lay hidden. "Before we give our answer, I request a private audience with you." The other Varians murmured among themselves. A low humming sound that Haijin had learned indicated surprise. "Bold," said Songmi, a female Varian who served as their tactical advisor. "But foolish. What can one human accomplish alone?" Dojin studied Haijin with his large compound eyes. "Perhaps there is something to learn here. I will grant this request." Once they were alone, Haijin faced the alien leader directly. "Your people share pain as a way to build empathy and prevent conflict. Humans have different methods, but our goals are the same." Dojin's skin flickered with blue patterns of skepticism. "Your methods have failed. Your history is written in bloodshed." "As is yours," Haijin countered. "Before you develop your neural link, the Varian chronicles speak of wars that nearly destroyed your civilization." Anger flashed red across Dojin's skin. "You presume to know our history. I presume to learn from it," Haijin said, "as I hope you will learn from ours." She took a deep breath and activated the neural interface. Pain shot through her skull like lightning, and she staggered, catching herself on the edge of the table. Dojin stepped back, his skin pulsing with alarm. "What trickery is this?" "No trick," Haijin gasped as the interface synchronized with Varian neural frequencies. "A bridge." And then it happened. Emotions not her own flooded her consciousness. Confusion, anger, fear. But beneath them lay deeper currents. Loneliness, a yearning for connection. Memories of loved ones lost in distant battles. Dojin fell to his knees, his skin flashing chaotically. "How? What are you doing to me?" "Sharing," Haijin whispered, tears streaming down her face as she experienced centuries of Varian collective memory. "This is what it means to be human. To stand alone but choose to connect. To suffer individually but reach out even so." Around them, alarms began to sound. The other Varians had sensed the disturbance in their leader's neural patterns and were trying to break in. Haijin knew she had only moments before they were interrupted. "Feel it, Dojin," she urged. "Feel our determination, our hope. We don't want to fight you. We want to learn from you." The alien leader's eyes locked with hers, and for a moment, perfect understanding passed between them. Human and Varian. Two conscious beings bridging an impossible gap. Then the doors slid open, and reality crashed back upon them. The Varian council chamber erupted in chaos as Haijin was dragged away by guards. Her neural interface was still active, broadcasting her fear and determination to every Varian within range. Some collapsed, overwhelmed by the unfamiliar human emotions. Others recoiled in disgust or fascination. "She has violated our most sacred boundaries," shouted Songmi, her skin flashing angry red patterns. But Dojin remained silent, his compound eyes fixed on Haijin as she was restrained. Something had changed in him during their brief connection. A seed of doubt had been planted. "Quarantine the human," he ordered finally, "and summon our neural specialists. We must understand what she has done before we proceed." In her isolation cell, Haijin fought to control the interface. Dr. Minji had warned her that prolonged connection could damage her brain, but she couldn't deactivate it now. The link was spreading through the Varian neural network like ripples in a pond, carrying echoes of her human experience to aliens who had never imagined such a way of being. Meanwhile, on the Varian command ship, something unprecedented was occurring. Warriors who had never questioned their orders began to hesitate. Engineers wondered about the humans they had been told were too dangerous to live. The rigid hierarchy that had defined Varian society for millennia was beginning to show hairline fractures. Taehyun, monitoring Haijin's neural patterns from Earth, detected the change. "It's working," he told Dr. Minji. But it's killing her. Her brain can't handle the neural load much longer. Dr. Minji stared at the readings in horror. We have to shut it down remotely. If we do that, we lose our only chance, Taehyun argued. The Varians will see it as an attack. On the space station, Hyjin lay in her cell, blood trickling from her nose as the interface overloaded her neural pathways. But through the pain, she could feel the connections growing, spreading. Varians across the fleet were beginning to understand human resilience, creativity, individuality, and questioning whether such beings deserved extinction. In the council chamber, Dojin faced a rebellion. Half his advisors demanded immediate action against Earth, while others, affected by Hyjin's emotional broadcast, called for reconsideration. She tricked you, Songmi insisted. This is some human weapon. No, Dojin replied quietly. It is understanding. Something we claimed humans could never achieve. He turned to his neural specialist. Can you locate the source of the transmission? The specialist nodded. It emanates from a device implanted in the human's brain. But removing it could kill her, and leaving it active will definitely kill her, Dojin said. Her brain is not evolved for our neural pathways. He made his decision. Bring her to the medical bay. We will help her, and in doing so, perhaps help ourselves. As Varian medical officers gently lifted Hyjin's unconscious form, the first true alliance between human and Varian was formed, built on shared pain and mutual understanding. The Varian fleet hung in Earth's orbit, divided as it had never been before. Half the ships remained loyal to the old ways, led by Songmi, who had declared Dojin compromised by human influence. The other half, experiencing the echoes of Hyjin's emotions through the neural network, hesitated to carry out the planned attack. On the medical ship, Hyjin awoke to find Dojin watching over her. The neural interface had been modified, its connection to the Varian network dampened to protect her human brain. You nearly died, Dojin told her, his skin patterns showing concern, an emotion he would never have displayed toward a human days earlier. Did it work? Hyjin asked, her voice weak. Too well, he replied. You have created a schism among my people. Some embrace the understanding you've offered. Others fear it will destroy our way of life. Through the modified interface, Hyjin could still sense the turmoil in the Varian collective consciousness. Anger, fear, confusion, but also curiosity, empathy, wonder. The rigid certainty that had driven their conquest was fracturing. Your people value shared experience, she said. Now they're sharing mine, a human's. They're feeling what it means to be alone in your own mind, but still capable of connection. Dojin's skin rippled with troubled patterns. Songmi has taken control of half the fleet. She plans to demonstrate Varian power by destroying the human city. We have 12 hours to prevent this. Hyjin struggled to sit up. I need to contact Earth. Communications are blocked, Dojin said. But there is another way. If we strengthen the neural interface, you could broadcast a warning directly to the humans who have similar devices, your scientists. Strengthening the interface could kill me, Hyjin realized. Yes, Dojin acknowledged. It is your choice. On Earth, Dr. Minji and Taehyun watched in horror as the Varian fleet split, half the ships moving into attack position. Their attempts to contact Hyjin had failed. We need to warn the defense forces, Taehyun said, reaching for the communication panel. But before he could activate it, Dr. Minji gasped and clutched her head. Taehyun, she whispered. I can hear her. I can hear Hyjin. Through the prototype neural interfaces they had used to test Hyjin's device, a faint signal was coming through. Emotions, images, fragments of thought. Warning. Danger. Coordinates. She's telling us which ships are going to attack, Taehyun realized, and which ones might help us. As Earth's defenses mobilized, targeting only the hostile ships, Hyjin lay in the Varian medical bay, blood streaming from her ears as the enhanced interface tore through her neural pathways. But she kept broadcasting, determined to save her world, and the Varians who now understood what it meant to be human. Dojin stood beside her, his own mind linked to hers, sharing her pain as his species had always shared suffering among themselves. For the first time, a Varian experienced human pain as his own, and found it both terrible and beautiful in its intensity. "Your people feel so deeply," he told her as her consciousness began to fade. "How do you bear it alone?" "We're never truly alone," Hyjin whispered. "That's what you're feeling now. Our connection." The battle above Earth lasted only hours, but its impact would echo through generations. Somni's attack fleet, faced with precisely targeted Earth defenses and opposed by Dojin's ships, was outmaneuvered. Rather than risk total destruction, many captains surrendered, their crews influenced by the empathic wave still emanating from Hyjin's neural interface. In a desperate final move, Somni directed her flagship toward Earth's surface, a kamikaze attack aimed at Dr. Minji's research facility, which she had identified as the source of the disruptive human technology. "We cannot stop her ship," Dojin told Hyjin, who lay semi-conscious in the medical bay. "Its descent is already beyond our weapons range." Through their shared neural connection, Hyjin felt his anguish and had an idea. "We can't stop the ship," she said, her voice barely audible, "but we can change its pilot." With the last of her strength, Hyjin focused the neural interface on Somni's mind. Instead of broadcasting her own emotions, she opened herself to receive, to experience Somni's rage and fear as if they were her own. The pain was excruciating. Somni's hatred of humans, her terror of change, her lifetime of military discipline, all crashed into Hyjin's consciousness. But beneath it all, Hyjin found what she was looking for: doubt. Aboard her plummeting flagship, Somni suddenly staggered, clutching her head as unfamiliar emotions flooded her neural pathways. Compassion, hope, a human's love for Earth and its people. Images of Busan's coastline, of Hyjin's mother cooking dinner, of children playing in parks that would be vaporized when the ship struck. "No," Somni whispered, her skin flashing patterns of conflict and realization. She lunged for the controls, overriding the collision course at the last possible moment. The flagship skimmed Earth's atmosphere and arsed back into space, engines screaming with the strain. On the medical ship, Hyjin collapsed, the neural interface finally shutting down as her brain reached its limit. Dojin caught her as she fell. "Get her to Earth," he ordered his medical team. "Their doctors may be able to save her." As the shuttle raced toward Dr. Minji's facility, carrying Hyjin's unconscious form, the Varian fleet reorganized under Dojin's command. Somni's ship docked alongside his, and the two leaders faced each other in the command center. "You should execute me for treason," Somni said, her skin patterns showing confusion and shame. "I should thank you," Dojin replied. "You have experienced what I have, the truth of human existence. How can we condemn a species we now understand from within?" On Earth, Dr. Minji and Taehyun worked desperately to save Hyjin, removing the neural interface that had nearly destroyed her brain. But the changes it had created in her neural pathways were permanent. Even unconscious, she continued to emit faint patterns on Varian frequencies, a human who would forever carry an echo of alien consciousness. And across the Varian fleet, thousands of minds bore the imprint of her human experience, an empathic bridge that could never be fully crossed, but had been strengthened enough to support the weight of peace. 6 months after what humans now called the convergence, Hyjin opened her eyes. The hospital room was filled with sunlight and the scent of cherry blossoms. For a moment, she thought she was still dreaming. She had spent so long in darkness, floating in a liminal space between human and Varian consciousness. "She's awake," said a familiar voice. Taehyun's face appeared above her, lined with exhaustion but smiling. "Minji, she's awake." Dr. Minji rushed in, medical scanners in hand. "Hyjin, can you hear me? Do you know who you are?" Hyjin tried to speak, but her throat was dry from disuse. Taehyun helped her sip water while Dr. Minji checked her vital signs. "The Varians. Hyjin finally managed to ask. Still in orbit, Taehyun told her. They've been waiting for you to recover. Their ambassador comes to check on you every week. Hyjin closed her eyes, reaching instinctively for the neural connection that had become part of her. It was gone. The interface had been removed. But something else remained, a faint echo of collective consciousness. Dojin? She asked. Dr. Minji's expression softened. He's here on Earth now. He leads the Varian diplomatic mission. She hesitated. Hyjin, what you did, it changed everything. But it also changed you. Your brain patterns are unlike anything we've ever seen. Human, but not only human, Hyjin whispered, understanding immediately. What about the others? The humans who received my broadcast. We've documented 27 cases worldwide, Taehyun explained. People with experimental neural implants for medical purposes. They all experienced your connection to the Varian network. Some are struggling with it. Others are adapting. As Hyjin regained her strength over the following weeks, she learned how profoundly the world had changed. The Varian threat had become a Varian opportunity, their advanced technology now being cautiously shared with humanity. Hybrid communication systems were being developed, allowing limited emotional exchange between the species without the dangerous full neural connection. But the most significant change was philosophical. Humans, long divided by borders and ideologies, had glimpsed through Hyjin's broadcast what the Varians had always known, the power of shared experience to build empathy. New technologies were being developed to create safe, limited emotional connections between humans, particularly for conflict resolution and mental health treatment. When Hyjin was finally strong enough to leave the hospital, Dojin was waiting for her. His blue skin had adapted to Earth's atmosphere, taking on a more pearlescent quality in sunlight. The council has asked me to extend an invitation, he said after they had walked in silence through the hospital gardens. They wish you to become the permanent human ambassador to our worlds. Hyjin stopped beside a flowering plum tree. Even after what I did to your neural network. Because of what you did, Dojin corrected. You showed us a new kind of connection, one based on choice rather than biological imperative. Some of my people are attempting to learn what you knew instinctively, how to be separate but still united. She considered the offer. Part of her longed to return to her old life, to the simple human connections she had taken for granted before experiencing the Varian collective. But she knew that was impossible now. She had been changed too fundamentally. I'll go, she said, but not yet. There's something I need to do first. 1 year after the convergence, Hyjin stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Beside her stood Dojin and representatives from 27 nations, the humans who had received her desperate broadcast during the conflict. What we propose is unprecedented, she told the assembly. A voluntary human neural network, limited in scope but global in reach, not to erase our individuality, but to enhance our empathy, to share not just ideas, but experiences. The chamber erupted in debate. Many feared any technology derived from Varian neural science. Others saw the potential for a new kind of human connection, one that could bridge divisions that words alone had failed to cross. We are not becoming Varians, Taehyun added, addressing the most common fear. The network Dr. Minji has designed maintains human neural architecture while allowing controlled emotional exchange. Users remain fully autonomous, sharing only what they choose to share. Dr. Minji stepped forward with the technical specifications. The implant is minimally invasive and can be deactivated at will. Initial applications will focus on conflict zones, disaster response, and therapeutic settings where enhanced empathy could save lives. As the debate continued in New York, Hyjin traveled to regions torn by generations of conflict. With her unique brain patterns, neither fully human nor Varian, she could connect with both the human volunteers and the Varian observers who had come to help implement the technology. In a field hospital near a disputed border, she worked with doctors treating children wounded in the ongoing conflict. With permission, she established brief neural connections between injured children and the military leaders who had approved the bombardments. Not to assign blame, but to create understanding. Feel what they feel, she told a general as he experienced the fear and pain of a child caught in the crossfire. This is not propaganda or manipulation. This is truth, their truth. The general wept when the connection ended. The ceasefire was announced the next day. In refugee camps, survivors of natural disasters shared their experiences with aid coordinators, conveying needs that words couldn't adequately express. Response efforts became more efficient, more humane. In psychiatric facilities, those suffering from isolation and depression experienced brief connections with others who understood their pain and who could share moments of hope and resilience that words alone couldn't convey. But the technology also faced resistance and sabotage. Religious extremists called it an abomination. Authoritarians feared a population that could truly understand the suffering their policies caused. Corporations worried about consumers who could share unfiltered experiences of their products. They fear what the Varians feared. Dogen observed as he and Haijin reviewed reports of attacks on neural network facilities. The end of isolation means the end of certain kinds of power. Haijin nodded. The network won't solve everything. Some will use it to spread hatred rather than understanding. We're still human after all. That, Dogen said, his skin patterns showing something like affection, is precisely why it will succeed where our system failed. You choose connection, knowing its cost. We never had that choice. As the voluntary network grew, something unexpected emerged, a distinctly human form of collective consciousness, chaotic and contradictory, preserving individuality while fostering unprecedented empathy. Not a hive mind, but a community of minds, each distinct but none alone. And at its center was Haijin, neither fully separate nor fully connected, bridging worlds as she had always done. 5 years after first contact, Haijin stood on the observation deck of the first joint human-Varian space station. Below her, Earth gleamed blue and white against the darkness. Above, the stars beckoned, including those that harbored Varian worlds she would soon visit as humanity's ambassador. "Ready?" asked Dogen, joining her at the viewport. "As ready as anyone can be to visit alien worlds," she replied with a smile. The neural network she had helped create now connected over 2 million humans worldwide, a small fraction of Earth's population, but growing steadily as the technology proved both safe and transformative. It wasn't perfect. There had been abuses and setbacks, but in regions where the network was most widely adopted, conflict had decreased while innovation flourished. More surprisingly, the network had changed the Varians as well. Exposure to human individuality had inspired a reformation in their society. Young Varians now practiced temporarily disconnecting from their collective, experiencing limited periods of human-like separation to develop unique perspectives. "Our ships depart in an hour," Dogen said. "The Council is eager to meet the human who changed everything." Haijin touched the small scar at the base of her skull where the original neural interface had been. Its replacement was far more sophisticated, allowing her to connect with both human and Varian networks while protecting her brain from overload. "Before we go, there's someone I'd like you to meet," she told Dogen. In the station's medical bay, Dr. Minji was monitoring a remarkable patient, Songmi, the Varian commander who had nearly destroyed Earth. After the convergence, she had requested permanent assignment to the Human-Varian Exchange Program. The procedure was successful, Dr. Minji reported as they entered. "The neural regulator is functioning properly." Songmi sat up slowly, her skin displaying patterns of disorientation and wonder. Like Haijin, she now carried a hybrid neural interface, allowing her to experience human consciousness safely. "How do you feel?" Haijin asked in the Varian language. "Alone," Songmi replied, "but not empty." Her skin patterns shifted to show curiosity. "Is this how you always experience existence?" "As one mind." "Yes," Haijin said, but we find ways to connect, even without neural links. Songni would be the first of many Varian volunteers to undergo the procedure, explorers seeking to understand the human experience from within, just as human volunteers would soon visit Varian worlds to temporarily join their collective consciousness. As their ships departed Earth orbit, carrying the first official human delegation to the Varian homeworld, Hyjin felt a resonance through both networks, human and Varian minds acknowledging the journey ahead. Not a merging of species, but a conversation between fundamentally different types of consciousness, each with profound lessons for the other. They said I couldn't understand their pain, Hyjin whispered, watching Earth recede behind them. They were right. Understanding wasn't enough. We had to share it. The pain, the joy, the whole experience of being alive. Dojin's skin patterns shifted to show agreement, and in sharing, we discovered something neither of our species had fully grasped alone. What's that? Hyjin asked. That true connection doesn't erase differences, he replied. It illuminates them. Your humanity is most beautiful precisely because it is not Varian, and our collective is precious because it offers what individual consciousness cannot. As the ships accelerated toward the stars, Hyjin felt the dual networks humming with possibility. Two ways of being, reaching toward each other across the void, neither seeking to absorb the other, but both forever changed by the contact. Pain shared had become something more. Understanding multiplied, perspective expanded, empathy evolved. Not the end of difference, but the beginning of something new, a resonance between modes of consciousness that had once seemed forever separated by the cold distances between stars. The journey had just begun.